Ashley Mitchell, Army veteran. Thank you for joining who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our country. Before we begin, I'd like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Nancy Riker and the Emporia Municipal Band for the beautiful performance and for the music that they will provide throughout this ceremony. Today is Memorial Day. Today, we pause as a nation to remember. We remember the courage, the sacrifice, and the lives given in service to our country. As Americans, we do not forget. Whether their sacrifice was made an hour ago or a century ago, we remember them with gratitude, honor, and respect. Our country honors all of our fallen heroes. Regardless of how many decades or centuries have passed, we remember. Today, we also remember those that did not perish in conflict, but came back forever changed. We remember. Today, we will remember our local veterans who all took a sacred oath to support and defend our Constitution, served honorably, and ended their watch this year. We remember. The American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars share in our sacred obligation to honor, to remember, and to account for all of our prisoners of war and missing in action. We remember that more than 80,000 American service members are unaccounted for from World War II to present. We mourn their loss, but most of all, we celebrate their lives. Let's begin that tribute. If you're able, please stand for the raising of the flag of our nation and our national anthem. It's appropriate to place your hand over your heart. Veterans, you may render the hand salute.
Right, please.
We're getting the main American flag unfurled right now. We're having some technical difficulties with the proper salute given.
Right, please.
And now we advance in our program.
Forward, more.
If able, please remain standing through the prayer and pledge of allegiance. I'd like to introduce Leslie Hedges, Army veteran, to offer our opening prayer.
Please pray with me. Heavenly Father, on this Memorial Day, in the 250th year since the birth of our nation, we bow before you with hearts full of reverence and gratitude. We pause to remember the brave men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice, laying down their lives to protect the freedoms we enjoy today. We thank you for their courage, selflessness, and dedication to their fellow citizens. Lord, we lift up the families who still grieve the loss of these heroes. Comfort them with your abiding presence. Bind up their broken hearts and remind them that their loved ones' sacrifices are never forgotten. We pray for those men and women who have returned wounded physically and with unseen wounds, and for their families and for their struggles as they transition back to civilian life. We also pray for those who currently serve in our armed forces and those who are missing or prisoners of war. Protect them from harm, grant them wisdom, and give them the strength to carry out their duties. As we reflect on the cost of our liberty, guide our nation toward peace, unity, and justice. May the memory of those who gave all inspire us to live with the same sacrificial love, serving you and one another. In your holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Captain Leslie Hedges with our prayer, and now back to Ashley Mitchell, our MC
Thank you,
this
Leslie.
morning.
Tammy Ogle, Emporia City Commissioner, is here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stood behind the microphone.
Thank you, Tammy. You may be seated.
Now we'll continue with our program.
At this time, I'd like to recognize a few special guests that aren't already involved in the ceremony. Ken Duft and Chris Bartell from the City Commission. Mark Schreiber, District 60, Kansas House of Representative. Matt Oline, Bert Steinkühler and Aaron Harder with the City Commission. And KVOE for your coverage today. Thank you for being in attendance with us today. Fran Oline served our nation for 31 years in the U.S. Army Reserve, Kansas Army National Guard, and Kansas Air National Guard, retiring as a lieutenant colonel in 2021. A graduate of Emporia State University and the University of Nebraska College of Law, she served as judge advocate and later commanded the 190th Air Refueling Wing Logistics Readiness Squadron. Fran deployed support of missions in Bosnia and Afghanistan, where she helped oversee major military logistics and redeployment operations. She also led planning efforts for the Kansas National Guard's response during the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, she continues her public service as District Director for Congressman Derek Schmidt. Please welcome Fran Orlean.
Fran Orlean, Lieutenant Colonel, Air Force retired. Interesting to see what her perspectives are on the holiday.
Thank you for inviting me. It is my honor to speak here at the Memorial Day service in Emporia. I was honored to be able to attend last year, and it is such a lovely service and just an absolutely beautiful memorial that you have. And I really appreciate being able to speak this year. So thank you so much for inviting me. Yes, I need to be closer. Okay. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate being the speaker. Memorial Day is a holiday that has been historically started. It's actually was called Decoration Day for many generations, many decades. And its origins actually date back, clear back to Greek times, when people would use spring flowers to decorate graves, specifically those who had died in battle. And as I researched for this speech, it was really interesting to see that it's kind of controversial when Memorial Day actually started. Who started it? In the United States, it's generally accepted that it started during the Civil War, and that the first National Memorial Day was actually May 30th in 1868. But now we celebrate it on the last Monday in May. Now, I didn't come here to give you a history lesson on Memorial Day, but I think it's important to know that Memorial Day is a historical and national holiday. It's something that we as a nation have decided is important to honor our military veterans who have died in the service of our country. I believe that people remember things best when you tell them stories. So today, I have 4 stories for you and 1 request. And I hope that you will understand that I have so many connections to people who have died in the service of our country, and it was really difficult for me to hone that down to just 4. But I felt like these 4 would have some significance to you as an audience in Emporia. And all these happen to be men, but they could have just as easily been women. They could have easily been any make, model, if you will, of people, because the service of our country brings together a real slice of our communities, a real portion of our country. Every race, color, creed, and type of person. The first story I want to tell you, and I hope as an Emporia person you will know, is of Sergeant Grant Timmerman. He is a Medal of Honor recipient from Emporia. He was actually born in Americus in February 1919. But he went to school in Emporia and graduated from Emporia High. He went to what was then Kansas State Teachers College for 1 year. And then he enlisted and served in the Army from 1937 to October of 1941. Now, if you remember your history, October 1941, there was a war going on, but we weren't really that concerned about it, right? We were watching and waiting. But a couple months later, we got really involved, right? So he went back to civilian life and was a welder and a machinist. But in February of 1942, he thought, okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and get in the Army. So in February 1942, he rejoined the Army. And he was actually a tank commander. And if you remember the World War II tanks, they were great big and everyone thought they were indestructible. So he's a tank commander, and it's 1944. And it's specifically 8 July 1944. And their tank is held up because there are trenches and what they call Japanese pillboxes. They were great big, fortified. A lot of times they were fortified concrete boxes, a little bit bigger than the bases of these flagpoles. And so, the tank has to stop. So he opens the turret, and I didn't know this about the tanks of World War II. I learned a lot researching for this speech. When the 75 millimeter gun shot out of that tank, the blast was such that anyone around that tank was going to get hit by shrapnel. So he had to tell the infantrymen around him, hey, I'm going to start firing this gun, so get the heck out of the way, right? So that's what he was doing. He was standing up to say, hey, I'm going to start firing, move. Well, the Japanese saw the opportunity, and they threw a grenade at his open turret so they could kill everyone in the tank. He didn't let that happen. He blocked that grenade with his body, and of course he was killed instantly. No one in the tank was killed. He saved all of their lives. And that is what he was awarded the Medal of Honor for. Exactly 1 year later, on 8th of July 1945, that Medal of Honor was presented to his parents, and at the request of his mother, it was given in a private ceremony. Now, the other thing you're going to see in these stories I tell you is that I kind of look at the moms One of the things Ashley didn't tell you is I am a military spouse, and I also have 2 children who are in the Army. And my second-born son has been deployed twice to Iraq and to Romania. And so it's a very different perspective from you deploying to watching your child deploy. And I'll tell you, you would deploy 100 times over if you didn't have to watch your child deploy. The next story I'm going to tell you is about one of my sons, my oldest son's West Point classmates. And you might think it's a little strange to talk about on Memorial Day because he was not actively in military battle when he died. But Tom Surdike is his name, and he was only 18. But he was awarded the Soldier's Medal for the actions I'm going to talk to you about. Tom Surdike was in his first year as a West Point cadet. He was, by all accounts, a very smart, very fit, very kind young man. He was the oldest of 4 children. He had 3 younger sisters. He had been at air assault training at West Point, and he was about to go back for what they call cadet field training, and he had a few days off. So rather than go all the way home to St. Louis, which is a long way from West Point, New York, he went with some friends to Long Island, to go to the beach. So he's on the beach, hanging out, doing what kids do on the beach, throwing the frisbee, whatever, and he meets some camp counselors from a nearby camp. And, some of them go in the water, and one of those counselors who he had just met goes in the water and gets stuck in a riptide. And riptides are very strong, very dangerous. So Tom was with a friend named James. James runs to get help. Tom goes and gets in the water. And he keeps that new friend, stranger really, up above the water so that he can breathe until help could come. Well, in doing that, Tom ends up exhausted because, as I said, riptides are very strong. He saved his friend, but he submerged. The EMTs arrived within 2 minutes, and they revived him, got him to the hospital, but unfortunately he had to be on life support, and he died 4 days later. His parents laid him to rest at West Point on July 4th of that year on his 19th birthday. Tom was a hero. His parents, Tim and Janice, I had the honor of meeting, and I assured them that their son would always be remembered as a hero. And his actions always remind me, as so many of these stories do, of the Bible verse, John 15:13. Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends. The third story is a young man named Max Soviak. Max was born in Berlin Heights, Ohio. He graduated high school in 2017 and enlisted in the Navy as a corpsman. A corpsman, for those of you who might not know, is like a medic. Now, Max, when he deployed to Afghanistan, he stored his things with some friends. They lived in Coronado, California, and his friend was another corpsman he'd gone to corpsman school with, but that friend was a Marine. That friend happened to be married to an Army officer, and that Army officer happens to be my best friend's daughter. And for one person I know in the audience, that friend is Callie Wheeler. So Max stores his stuff with his friends, goes on deployment. They're like, hey, see you in 6 to 9 months. It's all good. He goes to Afghanistan. One day he FaceTimes with his mom, and his mom's like, hey, they end up the conversation. She's like, hey, honey, be safe, right? That's what moms always say. And Max says, don't worry, Mom. My guys got me. They won't let anything happen to me. Max and his friends died at Abbey Gate on August 26, 2021. And his mom's comment was, they all died together. Max left his parents and 12 brothers and sisters when he died. The last story is one that I came across as I was researching. And I tell you this because it's part of what I'm going to encourage you to do. Staff Sergeant Michael Hubert, an Emporia native, and his family is a Gold Star family. I found him through the Gold Star Family Registry. I was trying to find, some Gold Star families from Emporia, kind of connect that with this speech. And when I saw his name, Staff Sergeant Michael Hubert, I was like, wait a minute. I went to high school debate camp with Mike Hubert, and he and I went to Emporia State together. I'm like, that's really a coincidence. And so I texted Mike and said, hey, this can't be a coincidence. And sure enough, it's not. And I'll tell you how. So Staff Sergeant Hubert was born November 8th, 1942, and he was an activated reservist who was hit by rocket fire at the base where he was stationed in Vietnam. He was a petroleum supply specialist. He was killed when he was 26 years old, February 24th, 1969. My friend Mike Hubert was born in March of 1969. He is his namesake because he is his uncle. That is my friend's dad's brother. I knew this. I have known Mike Hubert since we were 15, 16 years old, and I had no idea he was a Gold Star family. No idea. And this is a level of his life, a layer of his life that I didn't know until now. And I'm a little older than 15. I liked Staff Sergeant Hubert's story not just because it's my personal story, but because it highlights how the average citizen answered the nation's call. Some people perform heroic acts, but all of them are heroes. They are how we keep our way of life. All of their service is necessary for our country to keep existing. Memorial Day is actually a gratefulness day. So I encourage you to find the stories. Find a Medal of Honor recipient. Go to the Gold Star Registry and look for your hometown or look for your last name. Talk to veterans. We all have stories of people we've lost. That doesn't mean it's not okay to go to the lake and have friends over and barbecue on Memorial Day, because I'm telling you, most of those veterans would be fine with that. They would want you to do that. They would probably join you if they could. But keep in your heart the meaning of Memorial Day. And one of the first decoration days was started by General John Logan, and it was an order called General Order Number 11, May 5th, 1968. And I love how old time to me, I know some of you in the audience think I'm old, but I'm not. Old time language just has that flowery sentiment to it, and I'm going to leave you with this quote. We should guard their graves with sacred vigilance. Let no neglect, no ravages of time testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten as a people the cost of a free and undivided public. Thank you.
Thank you, friend. We will now begin our memorial roll call. Maria Lane, Gold Star Mother, along with Jamie Potter, U.S. Navy, will be reading the names of the fallen service members from the Emporia area.
Following this, we'll have placing as a wreath. And we'll be here again.
My son was Specialist David Lane. He was killed in Iraq on September 4th, 2007. For Gold Star mothers and Gold Star families, Memorial Day is our fallen sons and daughters' holiday. The day we honor those whose lives were lost while serving our country. Gold Star families have learned the hard way about service and sacrifice. On Memorial Day, honor and remember our fallen heroes and those veterans who have passed away this year. Leonard, Abby, John, Atkins, Len, Hazel, Larry, Burke, Larry, Bucklinger, Thomas Burton, Richard Audill, John Clark, Marlene Clemmer, Larry Coldblazer, George Hoff, Alan Curlis, Lloyd Davidson, Frederick Day, Larry Edwards, Donald Elliott, Merle Engel, Erwin Eberly, Jerry Evans, Donald Forrester, Chester Fruit, Carrie Guild, Lyle Haley, Donald Hammond, John Harding, Les Harlan, Paul Hegemeyer, Richard Herman, Gary Hind.
Lowell Houchin, Karen Kaufman, Dennis Linebarger, Ron Lewis, Tom Lippert, William Lynn, James Meyer, Richard McIntyre, Ronald Morgan, Clarence Monkus, Donald Nelson, Les Potter, Bob Rhodes, Steve Rhodes, Joseph Rice, Marty Ringgold, Marlon Satterfield, Herbert Scarberry, Richard Sloop, Dwayne Schmidt, Morris Short, Robert Smith, Gary Spear, Jack Ray Terrell, John Torrance, Jerry Whitsett, Ron Worcester, and Ronald Wright.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Jamie. At this time, the Emporia Municipal Band will provide some special music during the placing of the flowers. The Veterans Legacy Fund has donated a bunch of flowers and passed those out to all of you. Please feel free to place those at a flagpole. Those of you wishing to place them in the water, you may do so from the bridge. So feel free to participate in that and enjoy the music.
Emporia Municipal Band now serving as an interlude between placing the trees, and then really our finale we have an update on the 35th anniversary grounds, plus an update on Capitol Pond and ongoing
Frank Lowry, U.S. Army, is here with us today to give the 35th anniversary recognition and memorial update.
I'd like to start off by apologizing if I miss any group or individual names that have contributed to this memorial. As Ashley said, we're celebrating the 35th anniversary from when we dedicated this memorial, and it has come a long way in those 35 years, and it would be probably impossible to credit everyone that's had something to do with it. So I just want to say thank you to all of you who have contributed and supported this memorial over the years. It all began back in 1987 and 88 when a group of mostly World War II veterans kept looking over here at this area, in the very area that I'm standing in, when the World War II tank sat here all by itself, and it was just a partially mowed area that drew little attention to the tank or what it was supposed to represent, which was a all veterans memorial for not only the World War II veterans, but veterans of all wars. There were several keystone figures in that, and but the major one would be someone whose name you probably recognize as somewhat stubborn and aggressive gentleman by the name of Ken Bradstreet headed up a group, and that also included friends of many of us, as in Aaron Burra and Warren Horton and Richard McCoy, and so many others that pestered then City Manager Steve Collins to donate some more ground that the city owned down here and allowed for expansion of the area that the tank was sitting in and create this memorial. Construction then began in 1990. I'm going to not go into a whole lot of detail. It's getting warm, and you all can probably sit as long as you want to. But members of the Kiwanis clubs and Sertoma clubs and many other volunteers. And I want to emphasize that because people from all over the community, all over the county, and all over the area came and worked hard to help the Emporia construction and the other construction crews that did some of the major work down here to establish the main flagpole, this circle of honor flags, this little area we're seeing right here, and there was also a walk of honor where there were plaques lining that sidewalk. And those plaques are now sitting on these different tablets of honor back here. We had to get them off the ground, they were getting damaged and messed up. But that was all dedicated in 1991, as I said, and because of the growth that took place in the use of this memorial, not only for Memorial Day and Veterans Day, but we would have candlelight vigils, different speaking engagements by different service groups and military activities. We have hosted the Army Command Center out of Fort Leavenworth every year for the last 17 or 18 years, and they have done a tour of this. So anyway, the growth made it necessary to form a group, a committee, to oversee the use and the maintenance of the exhibits and things that we have down here. And so in 1997, after a bunch of paperwork, the All Veterans Memorial Association was created, and a group of 12 volunteers again were assigned to that committee and became a nonprofit organization which allowed businesses and individuals to make donations to not only for the upkeep but for further improvements. During that time, we established a commitment or a procedure, if you will. We fly the flags 22 different days a year, and that volunteer group comes down regardless of the weather, unless it's just absolutely Chuck warns us and tells us there's tornadoes coming or some severe storm coming, and so we don't fly the flags those days. But otherwise, we're out here putting all these flags up and taking them down in the morning and in the evening, regardless of how cold or how hot it is. In 1999, after 4 years of complicated paperwork and hassle with the government, we were able to acquire the Huey that is the memorial is so well known for, and it was placed up there and dedicated. And then in 2001, we did that stone basing and put that granite stone in there, which represents and honors the 9 Lyon Countyans that were killed in Vietnam. Then we also added some land in 2001, which how many of you were here 35 years ago? So several of you, and even though some of you may not have been right down here that day, but you all remember Heinz gas station and service area back over here? Well, we was able to work out a deal with the people that owned that property then and acquired the activation over to where the fence is now, and expand that way. Then, trying to keep on my notes here, we moved the tank from this location to where it is now, and I promise you it's not moving again. But we moved that in 2003 with the help of the Army National Guard and with J. Frank Incorporated crane service. And then in 2003, we, again under the leadership of Mr. Bradstreet, we were able to acquire the Purple Heart monument that's behind me there was the National Purple Heart Association donated one to each state in the union, and through Ken's perseverance, if you will, Emporia being the founding city of Veterans Day, which was something else that was accomplished with some of the help of the All Veterans Memorial Association and the other service organizations in Emporia. We became nationally recognized and honored by the claim and title of founding city of All Veterans Day. Then between that, moving the tank, the Purple Heart Monument, and Emporia becoming with that status, 2003 was a pretty good year. Then in 2004, to not sit idle too long, the ship's bell was moved from in front of the former Emporia Public Library to down here, and also the flag monument that's over by the tablet, what is that, 10? Over there, that was installed. Then in 2008, we repainted the Huey for the first time. We're trying to work out to where we can get that done again, or something to help improve the slips, because it's past due. Then in 2013, we added the Operation Iraqi Freedom and the Operation Enduring Freedom flagpole. So we have it in our master plan that should we be declared in any more wars, if we need to add more poles, we have places to do that. We began the Tablets of Honor project in 2016 with the idea that if we could fill up these 6 tablets back here, we would have done real well. Before we had time to get the first one engraved and set, we had all 6 of them, enough names to fill all 6 of them, and we had to add these other 4 over here, so in the first year we had 10 tablets ready to set. And as you can tell, it's continued to grow, and I'll get into that a little more here in a minute. I know some of you are anxiously awaiting the announcement of Tablet 15. We expanded the memorial again when we acquired some more land back here over the bridge to have room to put in more tablets. Then through removing the donation by the David Lane family, we added the theater memorial that's right over here in 2023, and then we put up new flagpoles. But anyway, around and got rid of those temporary ones. In 2025, we painted the tank earlier this year, and then with another very generous donation from Mr. Marcos Construction, those of you who are sitting on the steel benches here, you can thank them for those. Tablet 15, which will be over the bridge and towards would be the northwest corner, is at the engraver now, and we're just anxiously awaiting for them to get it done and delivered. There are 80 names on each tablet, and then room for 4 of the bronze plaques on each side. So there's 80 names and 8 bronze plaques possible on each tablet. Now, because it took so long to get 15 filled and get the engravers going on it, we are actively trying to find another method to do that where we don't have to wait to have all 80 names, but we can get the tablet itself installed down here, and then have somebody come. If we get a collection of 8 or 10 names, we can get them engraved on site instead of having to wait to get all 80. It took almost 2.5 years to get all the 80 names for number 15. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate it as a committee and myself with those of you who have so patiently and understandingly supported us over that 2.5 years, and just I thank you sincerely for that. But mostly I want to thank all of you for your ongoing support. You're coming down here and participating in these programs and rallies and such, and just enjoying the memorial, and just happy anniversary to all of you, and continue to enjoy and appreciate the day for what it is.
Thank you, Frank. If able, please stand for the honor guard salute to our departed veterans. Again, this is appropriate to place your hand over your heart. Veterans, you may render the hand salute. Honor Guard Commander, render your honors. You may be seated. Before we close today, I'd like to say a few things to my fellow veterans, especially the younger ones. You may not always see yourselves in organizations like the American Legion or the VFW. Trust me, I didn't either, and here I am today. Somewhere along the way, these organizations became more than meetings and ceremonies. They became community, purpose, and family. The way we served may look different across generations, but the mission remains the same: taking care of one another. These organizations fight for veterans' benefits, mental health support, military families, and the future of those still serving right here in the Emporia area and across this nation. So get involved, bring your voice, help build what comes next with us. We are stronger together, we have served together, and we remember together. As we close today, let us remember that the men and women who died for our freedom represent the very fabric of the United States of America. They came from cities, small towns, farms, and suburbs. They were rich and poor. They represented every ethnicity, background, and political belief. Yet they shared one common bond. Each took an oath to defend this nation, even at the cost of their own life. It is now our responsibility to ensure their sacrifices are never forgotten and never in vain. Through ceremonies like this, organizations such as the American Legion and the VFW, we strive to ensure future generations understand the meaning of service, sacrifice, and honor. Through our own acts of service within this community, we help keep our nation strong, free, and united. This Memorial Day, we honor the brave men and women who gave their lives to protect the freedoms we enjoy today. Their sacrifice laid the foundation for the nearly 250 years of liberty and the opportunity our nation celebrates. May we never forget that freedom. May we never take that freedom for granted. May we live in a way that honors their courage, their service, their devotion to this country. Let us remember that freedom is never guaranteed. It is preserved through sacrifice, unity, and grateful hearts. To our fallen heroes and to the families who carry their memory forward, we offer our enduring gratitude, our respect, and our promise that they will never be forgotten. This concludes our Memorial Day ceremony. God bless our fallen heroes, God bless our veterans and military families, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.